Good morning and happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Live Coffee Talk. You're watching this from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. I need you to do me a favor. Go ahead and drop me a blue heart if you're watching this from LinkedIn. But if you're watching this from Facebook, give me a red heart and just let me know that you are here. I'm Michelle Quay, and I am the adversity expert and storyteller. I love telling story, and I love mentoring women coaches through the use of power of storytelling to get seen, get heard, and get hired. I don't know about you, but like for the last 2 weeks, I feel like I need to take a deep breath. And I know that many other women share the same feeling as I do because there's a lot of things that's going on in the news and changes in our current state of affair. And as I was going and thinking about what to bring onto the show and who to invite to, Lisa Kaplin was the first person that came to my mind. Lisa has been my teacher, mentor, trainer through iPad coaching, where I complete my coach certification program. She is someone I look really highly upon as a role model in the women empowerment space. To me, Lisa is real, she's authentic, and her word really empowers you to not just be in charge, but actually lead. Lisa works with women who find themselves at a crossroad in life, leaving the workplace, returning to workplaces, all that chaos and transition happening in our life. Lisa is the expert in helping women to find their voice, set some goals, and achieve them by developing this confidence and solution-centered focus so that they can unlock to the next chapter in their life in a much more fulfilling ways. So please join me with a warm welcome. I'm really excited about today's conversation. I think this is going to impact and hopefully address a lot of that emotion that has been surfacing within the last 2 weeks. So please join me with a warm welcome, Lisa Kaplin.
Thanks, Michelle.
Lisa, I'm so happy that you are here. I miss you so much. It's been so long since I saw you, like since I took your class. You're such an empowering thought leaders in the women empowerment coach space.
Thank you.
I was wondering. So I know there's a lot of listeners and audience who probably know you because they follow you through the community, and some of them are probably your students. You've been in the practice for quite some time. So I was wondering if you can start by telling us, what made you shift the gear from being a psychologist to a coach?
Oh, gosh, it's such a good question. I love psychology. I believe in therapy. I think it's helpful to most of us. What I found, though, is I fell more in love with coaching. I love the forward motion of it. I liked the flexibility of it, the looking for solutions versus problems. It's not, we're not diagnosing anybody. We're really equal partners with people. And I just love that aspect of it. So I planned on bringing coaching skills to my therapy. And what I ended up doing is just coaching. And I bring my therapy knowledge with me wherever I go.
So why? I know I went to your website. I actually studied your website. I thought it was really cleverly made, and you publish a lot of articles.
I do write a lot. I write a blog every week. I do. Yeah, it's really my own therapy. If someone reads it, great. If they don't, that's okay, because I really write what's in my heart and what comes up for me. And sometimes it resonates with people, so that's just an added little bonus.
Yeah. So I'm curious because your one of your service is women empowerment coaching. Why women empowerment?
Oh gosh, how much time do you have, Michelle? I think it comes from watching my mother's generation of women really not being treated as equals. And even women in our generation where we have a lot more opportunities, we do not have total equity, at least in the United States, financially, with positions within government. We are not equally represented. And that matters. And we have certainly seen it in the news lately. But in just our day-to-day life, if we're not represented, then maybe our needs aren't being addressed. And so I really want women to be full equals in society. And I want women to, be in choice and not have others tell them what they can and can't do.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very interesting because we fought for the last, so the women's right had just celebrated 100 years. I
Mhm.
believe it was last year. It was 100 years of women's rights that was passed.
Mhm.
And to me, it's just really incredibly unbelievable of how many more women have not come out to use their voice. And I think one of the keywords I saw on your website is about finding their voice.
Mhm.
Why do you think that's a struggle for many women?
I think so many of us were taught to be good girls, right? Like, don't say anything, don't cause trouble, don't argue with anybody. I know I was raised that way and I never felt like I had an equal voice. I still sometimes don't. And so I think us getting a little uncomfortable by saying what we want, asking for what we want, using our voices. We know that women often don't ask for raises and promotions, and men do when the women are equally, if not more qualified. So using our voices in so many different ways will help us get to equity. I don't want to blame women, but I want women to really get comfortable standing up for themselves.
Yeah. How do we stand up for ourselves? That would
Well, I
be
think
like $1 million question, right? How do we
I
stand
was
up for
going to
ourselves?
say, right. Another question of how much time do you have, Michelle? Um, I think it's one is knowing what we really want. And so being really clear and this is what I want and then asking for it. And I think that knowing what I want is challenging for women because we've so been raised and society tells us to put others first, that we should be taking care of others, then we can take care of ourselves. So many of us don't even know what we want. When I ask women what they want, sometimes I get well, my husband wants me to, or my partner wants me to, or my kids want me to, or my parents want me to. I'm like, well, that's not what I asked.
What do you want?
What do you want? Exactly. And often women say, I don't know.
Yeah. How do you address for, well, let me backtrack a little bit, because from what I have known you ever since, you're very outspoken and your personality just, you make the whole room bubble as you all walk into the room. So I'm curious though, has this always been the way that you are?
No, definitely not. I think I was quieter when I was younger. I thought I had to do what other people wanted me to do. I really lived my life that way, and it took probably, I think I was in my 40s when I started to say this isn't really working for me. This isn't what I want from life, and so I started to get more comfortable being outspoken. Which not everybody likes me, but that's okay. I'm not doing it to get friends.
Like whoever don't like Lisa, you're just out of your mind. Like, how do you not like this woman? I mean, I just
That's
don't
the
get it,
street.
right? There's
Well,
certain things I just
there's a
don't
few
get.
out there.
Like whoever's out there watching and listening this episode, if they don't like you, like, we need to talk. We need to coach. Have this coach session.
I'll refer them to you.
Yeah, we need to talk. Sit down and talk. I think one of the struggle that I notice a lot of women coaches have is, number one, they're not used to being very outspoken, and a
Right.
lot of them I notice, especially including myself, I was an introvert, so I would hide behind the curtain. I don't feel comfortable about doing live or speaking, and that was a big stepping out to actually use my voice. What like, if we were to go back and put on your advisory hats, what advice do you have for women who's like trying to get out there and finding their voice?
Well, I think you lead a perfect example is I watched you like take little steps, putting something on social media, telling somebody about your business, asking for one tiny thing you want. If you get the wrong coffee orders, bringing it back and saying this isn't the right order. Here's what I want. Like little tiny baby steps will build more and more confidence as you go. And
Yeah.
I think that's the way to start it. You don't have to take on the world with your first step, but try something. One little thing, asking your partner for something you want, or your kids, or your parents, or a friend.
Do you ever get into like fighting mode with your husband? This is what I want, and I don't care what you want.
Are you kidding? Are you joking? Like you just ask him. Yes. In fact, one time he said he created a monster because he used to tell me that I didn't say like what I wanted for dinner or where I wanted to go, things like that. And now I definitely tell him, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe." Maybe, he promoted that a bit too much. But yes, absolutely. And
What?
sometimes I think I don't want to be in fight mode, but I think a lot what women have learned is in many historical moments we've needed to fight for what we want and what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with that though, a lot of it has to do with the external factors, right? So legislation, rules, beliefs, and things that women should do and should not do. Who controls that?
Men. I mean, and this is, when the majority of people making the decisions on our healthcare are men, then there's a problem. This is how we're not represented. If at least 50% of our government, 50% of our physicians, 50% are women, then there's much better chance that what really matters to us is taken into consideration. And so I think this is where representation is so key.
Yeah. I think one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of women are more coming off from the caring perspective, loving and caring. Oh, I don't want to be in that fighting mode, or I don't want to cause trouble. I don't want to cause harm. So a lot of us hold back in what we believe in sharing our opinions. And
Mhm.
when you don't share your opinion, that becomes an issue, right? Especially
Yeah.
who's making the rule.
Right. Exactly. And I think we all want to, well, I shouldn't say we all, I think many of us want to come from a space of love and caring and compassion. And I agree with all of those things. And I think sometimes we want to choose to fight and choose to put our voice out there. And yes, it's scary, but we know it's worked in the past, right? And I'm not sure that us being passively kind is actually getting us what we want.
Yeah. I think so. One of the inspiration that really came from this whole topic and this talk was from your blog post. And I remember doing research on what do I want to talk about with Lisa. And one of the quote that you have on your blog is space is the opposite of force. And when I sit in the space where there's no room for force, things just come my way without pain, without force, and with joy and hope. Space is being present in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I think to me it's when I think of force, I don't think of like fighting for my rights. I think of trying to force my agenda on somebody else. And to me, the difference of that is space to really own my own wants and desires, and then to say them from a place of power, not aggression, not threats, just really truly a place of power. And I think in the present moment, then I don't have to be angry about what's happened in the past because it's in the past. And I don't have to be afraid of what might happen or not happen in the future because I'm in the moment. And by the way, that is not easy to do. Like, I know you know that, but not so easier said than done.
It is not. It is not easy to rise above that anger. I remember that first day when I learned the news, I was really upset and I had a lot of anger and I was actually angry. I don't believe that. I totally believe that it's a violation of human right. It's my opinion. It's what I believe in. And so in order to get over that, it took me quite some time to get over it, right? And I'm still not over it.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm wondering, what are some of the tangible things that, as a woman, if we're sitting in that space of anger and there's still a lot of feeling and emotion coming up, how do we actually make the space for what's happening?
What a great question. I think the main thing is allow ourselves to be angry. Of course, you were angry. Of course, people are upset, and some people were happy, and that's okay as well. It's really allowing ourselves any feeling we're having. And I think women are notoriously bad at that. Oh, you shouldn't be mad. You shouldn't be this. You shouldn't get it. Anything we're feeling makes sense. Once we accept that feeling, it allows us the space to kind of release it. And then, okay, I've had these feelings. Now what do I want to do? How do I get in this present moment to do what I want to do in order to, fight for my rights or ask for what I want or whatever that looks like?
Yeah. What are some of the things that you do to make that space?
um, that are legal. No, I'm kidding. One
What are
is
some of the things that you don't do?
right, exactly. One thing is really being with like-minded women, having this conversation with you. I feel connected, and I think being with when the whole legal thing changed, I was texting with my closest group of girlfriends and with my daughter, and I was connecting with people and supporting people, and who can we help and what can we do to help women who may not be as lucky as we are to have resources or live in a state that our rights are being valued in the state we live in. What can we do to help other women? And I think those things help us feel stronger, right? By connecting and helping each other.
Yeah. I think what the hardest part to get to that is how do I actually let go of my feeling and having that acceptance to what is and
Mhm.
what can be. So I
Right.
think a lot of people are still being trapped in the what can it be or what can I do.
Hmm. Well, the piece about our feelings is I don't know, like I'm allowing myself a range of emotions throughout. Like I'll think, okay, I've released some of the rage, and I haven't fully. There's more there apparently, and but also to deny what is keeps you really in the past, because this is what is. We might not like it, but let's be in full acceptance of what is, and then once we've accepted fully what is, what do we want to do about it? What does moving forward look like? What does being in choice look like? um Emotionally, and what we do, what does that look like? And that's when we feel more powerful. When we stay in the past, we don't feel powerful.
Um,
Yeah.
Making space for what matters. What matters to you most, Lisa?
ah a lot of things. Women and women's rights and women's opportunities. That is one of my top. I want my daughter to have so much more than I've had, and I'm a pretty privileged person, and I want her to have every right to her body and to her life and to her career. So that really matters. My family matters. My career matters. My clients, the people I help, my dog just moving around in the background. Just space to be who I am and who I want to be, and to help the people that I can help. I think that's, to me, that's what space is. When we don't have that space, we feel like with things we don't care about.
Yeah. I have a tendency to fill out my space. I fill out my space with a lot of things.
We all do, right? We all do. Maybe there's room for space for silly things too.
Yeah, so I lately I noticed that there's this whole concept about second brain, and as a woman, we try to hold a lot of things in our brain. Oh, I can remember that. Oh, I'll just keep it in my mind. But the reality is we don't have that brain that function that way. So we need a second brain. So things like writing things down or having a to-do list, having a calendar that actually work. And I'm notorious for having a lot of things on my calendar.
Right, right. And then you look at the day and go, wow, how am I going to get all that done? Right.
Right? And
Yeah.
so I feel like this is a topic that I can learn so much because I'm not making space at all.
Well, it's funny you say that, Michelle, because one of my clients was really talking about this. So we started with, I said, what's the smallest amount of space you can make in a week? And she started with 15 minutes in 1 week. And she came back and said, that really helped me. Just 15 minutes. She didn't answer the phone. She didn't, do anything. She just took that. So then the next week she added a little more. And each time she's saying it's actually helping me be a more powerful leader, not get so snappy with people, all those things. So maybe start small, 5 minutes.
Speaking of clients, that would be my next question for you. Is I know you do women empowerment coaching, you do leadership, and you also do speaking engagement. What are some of the things that you are currently working on that like how do you work with clients?
Oh gosh, this is I mostly in one-on-one, but I'm doing some work now for Chief, the organization Chief, which has been really amazing. Chief is their goal is to put women in senior leader positions and keep them there. And so I've been doing some executive coaching, group coaching for them, which has been so fun and engaging and feels like very attached to my values. So that's been fantastic. And I've actually been coaching more men, which is really interesting. And it's been such a great opportunity to help men really get more in touch with their feelings and how they want to express themselves. It's been a great connection, I guess.
I think one of the things I've noticed when men approach me typically is because you can think of things, your perspective coming out from a woman's perspective. It really helps them to understand how their colleagues operate. What is my employee thinking right now that I need to know.
Right. Yes, and many of them exactly are saying like, I want to make sure I'm getting along with women. I want to make sure I'm leading in a way that is supportive of women. So such a great opportunity to have those conversations.
Yeah, yeah, which ties me to the next question. I know I do want to wrap it up. I know you have another appointment, and you're like, I just need to snatch her into my show here. Um, I'm like, I'm gonna grab her with her busy schedule. But before I let you go, one of the struggle that my audience, my women coaches are experiencing is a lot of time they don't know how to position themselves in the world of coaching.
Mhm.
And you have a lot of experience in terms of women empowerment and just being visible and just getting out there, and then you're putting yourself out there. So what are some of the advice that you might have for them?
I think my best advice is to get out there, talk to people. I think women sometimes get so caught up in I have to have the exact right words on my website, or I have to, have all these pieces in order. The truth is, people are attracted to you because you're you. You go out and talk to people, go to networking, meet as many people as you can, tell people this is what you do. Offer coaching to people so they can see who you really are. I built my business one conversation, one relationship at a time. I'm the worst marketer ever. I mean, honestly, most people could see that. It's not my strong suit because I decided that I didn't want to have flashy words, but I wanted people to connect with me and I wanted to connect with them. And that legitimate connection, that's what people want.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I were to guess because you talked about values, if I were to guess your top values, I would believe that authenticity is up there.
It's way up there. It's almost tied with fun. And but you know that about me. It's got to be fun or I won't do it.
Yes, and going to your module, it was just so fun. Like you literally light up the whole entire room.
Thank you. You're so sweet. You do too. I loved you the minute I met you.
Oh, thank you. I don't think it's true that you're not a good marketer. I think you're great in doing marketing, especially the fact that you're publishing one blog post per week. Those blog posts get picked up, and that's how I started to research you. I'm like, oh, let me stalk her a little bit.
I love it.
Check out what's going on here.
Thank you. Thank you for stalking me.
Any last word of advice for our everybody, all the women who's listening, or the men who's listening, about making space for what matters?
Yeah, I think being really conscious about stopping. I think one thing that happened with COVID is we have these back-to-back meetings. I'm guilty, and there's no space in between. And that's that little half hour in between or 15 minutes really can refresh us and reconnect with ourselves so that we show up to the next meeting, ready to go. So being thoughtful about it and really conscious. And if you have to put it on your calendar, put space on your calendar. That works too.
I like the idea of putting a space on my calendar.
Right, literally space. Right,
Type it in, space, task, space.
right. Space. That'll work.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy and so glad that you're here on the show. Where can people find to work with you?
LisaKaplin.com, Kaplin. There you go. Michelle was ready. There's where you can find me. You're the best.
I will definitely have the link into the episode note when it come out so that people can reach out to you. They can stalk you.
Thanks.
And again, if you're watching this, you're listening to this, and you don't like Lisa, you're out of your mind. We need to talk.
You need some help.
If
you don't like Lisa, call Lisa and she'll help you. No, call Michelle, right?
Or just go to Lisa's website. She'll help you.
There you go. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'll see you soon.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. All right, everyone. Hopefully you are empowered. You feel inspired, that you are ready to take some action from today's episode. I would love for you to drop your comment inside the, actually drop your thoughts inside the comment to let me know what is your takeaway message and how are you going to make space for what really matters. So just drop that into the chat. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you again on the next show. Bye.